Michael Evans, author of The Real Matrix. Good morning, Gianna.
Good morning, Bruce. Happy 2017, year 3 of the Gianna Volpe report.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It is.
Time does fly, doesn't it?
It really does. So this morning we've got Celine Keating. Celine is the author of Layla and Play For Me, and also the co-editor of a new anthology called On Montauk, which is a Harbor electronic publishing book out of Sag Harbor. Good morning, Celine. Thanks so much for being with us.
Good morning, Gianna. Thanks so much for having me.
It's such a pleasure. So Celine is going to be involved in, I'm doing a performer series this 19th, February 9th and March 9th at Fortress down in Montauk. So Celine, I think you might be in February coming out.
Correct, yes.
And then we don't know who's going to be reading at the first one, but I'm really excited about it.
Yes, some of the authors from the anthology are interested, and so we can work out some of those details. But I think if you'll have us, we have people, poets and essayists and fiction writers who can come and join your wonderful new series.
And so exciting that you got to get some real, authentic Montauk voices in there. Perry Duryea, Ed and Willa Johann. Who else did you enjoy? Whose stories did you enjoy in there?
Well, I really love stories from a married couple, actually. Stephanie Krusa, who has a YA book about a true character named of Abigail, who was shipwrecked near the lighthouse. So it's kind of a lighthouse ghost story about Abigail. And her husband, Dave Krusa, probably still is, I guess, a little bit of a fishing captain. He's pretty much retired now, but a fabulous writer who has this big story in the book, the heftiest piece of the book, called Winter Trip, about a fishing trip. And he's almost like a Hemingway-esque kind of, or Joseph Conrad kind of old-fashioned writer. It's just mesmerizing story. So, and I also loved the piece about surfing by Rusty Drumm, who recently died. He was a East Hampton Star reporter and writer.
Right, Russell Drumm.
There's also a nice piece called Shy Girl Surfing, about a young woman surfing, by a local author, Alice Kaltman. So those were some of my favorites. I also loved an essay by Maryann Calendrille, who's a co-owner of Canio's, and a fabulous piece on the lighthouse by Marge Winski, who's the lighthouse keeper.
Oh, wow. How cool is that? She's the current lighthouse keeper?
Yeah, I mean, there really isn't a role now because it's automated, but she still lives there and keeps an eye on things, and it's just a marvelous essay about how it's been to be living in that remote spot for the last couple of decades.
That is so cool. Lighthouse keeping is like one of the most fascinating things once you start to get into it and into the history. So what I loved most about the whole thing is your story, how you came to Montauk, and the fact that Bruce doesn't know this, but you came to Montauk in the 90s with he wasn't your husband then, but it was like your first date, kind of going camping out there. Is that right?
Yeah, we actually went camping. We've been together longer than that, but at some point I twisted his arm to buy a place. But yes, we started camping at Hither Hills, and it pretty much was our first date. And we've done it every year since, even after we bought our co-op. And now my entire family, will come out, and it's part of our family tradition to camp there.
And tell us
that was sort of my personal beginning with the Montauk area. I grew up in Queens.
Oh, right, okay. And so how important is, the wild space of Montauk to the locals?
I think it's hugely important. I know it is to me, and it's what's really been inspiring my own fiction, and that's what kind of jump-started the book, realizing there were other writers for whom Montauk is really a muse, and especially all the open space. I didn't realize quite how important until we did the book, and then a lot of that surfaced, and people, talked about how much it meant to them, and how I mean, not just the open space, but all the aspects of nature. And I think I mentioned to you that the profits from the book will go to 2 local organizations. One of them is Concerned Citizens of Montauk, and it didn't solely save open space in Montauk. A lot of different organizations work together, but they help save close to 70% of the peninsula, which is in one form or another. You know, county park, state park, sometimes all, you know, federal, but almost 70% of Montauk is open space, and that really is a lot of the character of the place.
That is nothing to sneeze at.
Still.
Wow, that is nothing to sneeze at. And so, yeah, you said you had to deduct the cost of making the book, but you're just at that point now. Where can people get on Montauk?
Oh, thank you for asking. Well, the local publisher is Harbor Electronics. So on their website, one can click and purchase directly there. It's also, we always like to encourage people to purchase at local bookstores. So it's available in Montauk at the local bookstore, at Canio's,
Excellent.
in Southampton at Southampton Books, and it's like everything else, it's on Amazon as well for those who want to quickly purchase and can't get out to the local bookstore.
And I remember we mentioned, I asked you, I was like, have you spoken with Susan Dingle? I know that she does Poetry Street at Blue Duck Bakery Cafe. And I know you guys did a reading last time. Will you be there on the 22nd?
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to. But Susan, by the way, is in the book.
Oh, great!
Somebody she had a poem she submitted, and that's how I got to meet her, was because she submitted, we loved her poem, and then she came out to Montauk to read at one of the readings in Montauk, and she invited us to be part of her reading series in Riverhead.
Phenomenal.
And hopefully she'll be one of the people at your series as well.
I would love that. I really would. There's so many different, there's 350 pages. How many? More than 50, right? More than 50 authors in the book?
Oh, there are about 48 to be precise.
Okay.
And then there are also some, as you saw, there's also photographers. So there's over 50 contributors.
Okay.
Of whom 48 are poets, essayists, or fiction writers. Speaking
of photographers, we've got your husband made up the vanity plate collage on the front.
Yes, he just goes around Montauk, and when he sees one of the Montauk vanity plates, he takes pictures. And then just for fun, he was making a collage of it and gave it as a gift to the publisher. We never conceived of it as the cover. We kept looking for an iconic sort of Montauk shot, and weren't coming up with anything. And then the publisher said, I have an idea I'm going to send to you. I opened my screen up, and there's the collage. I cracked up. I thought it was a very funny idea. Never would have come to me.
And very smart. I think it was the way to go.
Yeah, good.
It's beautiful. And so play for me, just to get a little plug in for your new book. Tell us a little bit about that, and when that's dropping, if already.
That was just published last year. It's a little bit of an anomaly in my work because mostly I'm interested in social change and sort of more activist fiction. But and my first novel is actually about that. It's about a young woman who uncovers a bunch of secrets from her parents' activist past in the 60s, and then it changes her political value system. But Play for Me is also about transformation. It's about a middle-aged woman who changes her life after rediscovering a passion for music. And so it's really more about the arts. But I think overall my fiction is sort of about transitions and change. And I'm working now, I've been working for many years on a novel set in Montauk. So hopefully at some point that one will come to fruition.
Is that something that's been true in your life? Somebody, going from publishing, especially on the technical end, into writing?
I actually started writing as a child, but I never expected it to be my how I would make my living. I was sort of practical. And I fell into publishing and really, really loved it. I absolutely love seeing books through from manuscript to the final book stages. So, I think the writing was always going on in the background, and I always had a career just to be able to earn money and that good stuff. But
one of the wise
strands
ones
have been there, and both working in publishing, writing, and generally being in some way or other trying to be part of the community and active in my community.
And such a great one that you picked. I mean, of anywhere that you could move from.
Very, very lucky, I must say.
Do you feel that way? Do you feel when you think about the decision to move out to Montauk?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I remember driving with my sister along Old Montauk Highway and saying to her, I would give anything to be out in Montauk, like even a garage, if I could just live in somebody's garage. And she said, why don't you try to buy something? And I thought, you're out of your mind. It's way too expensive. And we're talking about way back, over 20 years ago. But luckily for me, somebody where I worked had a co-op, and I convinced my husband to come and look. And we didn't purchase anything that like that co-op, but we just happened upon the place that we ended up in at Atlantic Bluffs Club. So, every day I'm thankful.
And your husband, Mark,
how very lucky.
Mark Levy.
Yes.
More of a mountain man. How does he get? How does he get that aspect out? Do you guys does he have to go up to the Adirondacks or take trips sometimes?
We do go to the Adirondacks a lot. That was his first love. And we also are very active in the hiking organization.
Oh, great.
He is more than I, but East Hampton Trails Association.
Yeah, they've got great trails.
So we were, this week we've done 2 or 3 hikes just on our own, in fact. And he does also some trail work, so he gets out there with his, lopper and
love it
clippers and helps on trail maintenance.
Man after my own heart. That's how I was raised by my father, with the machete going out there and
excellent.
And actually I did a great hike. It was for the Sag Harbor Express a couple years back now, but through the Northwest Woods, and how it's so cool. I mean, that's like in East Hampton, but so cool out there.
Yes.
It's amazing what organizations like CCOM, and what's the other organization that you mentioned?
Oh, thank you. It's Third House Nature Center.
Yes.
Inc. And it's a wonderful, very small group of people, but they're amazing. They go into the school. They run a nature club 8 weeks in the fall, 8 weeks in the spring. They take kids out into the woods. They take them learning about, what's around them out, if they can, if it's nice weather. And they also did a gigantic project for a year of all sorts of investigative work with about the ponds in Oyster Pond in with the county park, Theodore Roosevelt County Park, checking on the water and doing all sorts of testing, etc. So they've been working with interns there. They just do an amazing job, and they don't advertise what they're doing, or people don't even know about them, but they're just doing amazing.
They probably prefer it that way. But it's so great that programs like that still exist for kids, because they get such a kick out of it, and they,
right. The 2 organizations also work together, and this is where hopefully the money was going to go, to something called Camp DeBruce. It's a DEC-run camp in the summer for a couple of weeks, and the kids, whoever wants to go among the Montauk kids, applies, and then we give them scholarships, and we would be able to now give more scholarships to pay for them to go. And it cracks me up because they love it, and they have to leave behind their cell phones, and they go off and they talk about how wonderful it is to be in nature. And I laugh because I feel like Montauk is nature,
Right.
But they're not used to being out at night, seeing the stars and all that kind of thing.
Well, Celine, we gotta hit the break, but it was such a pleasure to have you on. We will be in touch soon, talk about the Revolution No. 9 performance series. Anybody out there on Montauk, if you want to get your mom, anybody, a nice coffee table book, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or Canio's Books in Montauk.
Excellent.
An overhead door serves a purpose, and it should be as beautiful as the rest of your home or building. For more than 30 years, Village Overhead Doors has been creating and installing beautiful garage doors for contractors and homeowners on the North and South Forks. They also install automatic garage door openers that open with the click of a remote, so there's no getting out of the car in bad weather. For a wide range of styles, from lifetime steel doors to custom-made wood doors, and for all your garage door needs, please call 765-4963 today and find out how your garage door can be a beautiful focal point of your home or building's exterior. Village Overhead Doors of Southall, 765-4963. Make the call and let them add beauty and value to your home or business.